Good morning, Avengers. My name is Miss Lillian. It's nice to see you all again. Happy early Thanksgiving. Can you even believe that Thanksgiving is a few days away? It's so great to see. Yeah, we can't believe it. It's been so fast. Great. So I am going to get started with, we're going to be working with a text, The Secret Garden, that is in your, is it called Into Reading? Is that the name of the textbook? Yep. And we're going to do some fun breakout rooms. We're going to come back and I'm going to do some marking up of the text with you as we start to pay attention to how language builds a certain tone or a mood in the text. So since y'all are fifth graders, this is like really sophisticated, next level sort of reading comprehension stuff that I know you're going to be all ready for. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started right now. Okay. All righty. So again, my name is Miss Lillian, and the teaching point here is I can justify how certain words, phrases, and figurative language evokes a mysterious tone in the text, The Secret Garden. All right, let's do it. I guess before I get started, does anybody know any good mystery words that you could share with us? Any words that you think builds mystery?
Mysterious?
Yeah, mysterious is a good one, right? Kind of connected to mystery. Any other ones?
Suspicious.
That's what
was that? Spacious?
Suspicious.
Suspicious. Yeah, that's a good one too.
Investigate.
Ooh, sounds like you guys have been watching some like Law and Order shows back there. Anybody else? Another word that you think builds mystery? All right. Well, those are some great ones to get started. Okay. So in addition to the idea of mystery, we're going to do some work around this word evoke. Can you guys all say that? Whether or not you're muted, just say the word evoke. 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 It's with a K, not with a C. Evoke. All right. So evoke most commonly means to bring a feeling, a memory, or like a picture into your mind, or to cause a reaction in the reader. Do y'all see this reader right here? Looks kind of really into it, a little bit surprised, right? Like surprised when he's reading that book. Okay, so we're going to do some work around, I know you guys know that mystery has to do with things that are a little bit uncertain or spooky or, you know, a little bit suspicious. We're going to do some vocabulary practice around evoke. So looking at this picture right here, what emotions does this picture evoke in you? Do you feel anything when you look at a picture like this? I'll make it a little bit bigger so that you can see it. If you guys want to go ahead and type some things into the chat, I can pull up the chat. So what sort of emotions or feelings does this picture evoke?
Maybe worried because you don't know where she is.
Okay, a little bit worrisome. That's maybe how she feels. Helen says mysterious, like maybe she's trying to find something. Anybody else? Just type it.
Curious.
She looks a little curious. That's what she looks like, but what does evoke in you? So we're asking you as the viewer, what do you feel when you look at that picture?
I feel curious because who knows what she's.
Yes. Okay.
Of like a horror. It's like the beginning of like a princess story where like she's having fun, then she gets kidnapped, then she spends most of her life doing maid stuff, and then something happens, but the mean person that kidnapped her is turned out to be some magical type of evil being and tries to destroy her and her prince. Then either sacrifice or love fixes it, and then they live happily ever after.
What's your name that would just gave us that whole big background knowledge about princess stories?
Desmond.
Desmond. Thank you, Desmond. You were accessing a ton of schema right there, that she's right in the middle of this whole big arc or narrative around it. Thank you. We're going to go back down to the second picture right here. Okay. What food evokes a strong memory for you? So I have a picture of food, but it could be any sort of food that you guys have. We're about to have some Thanksgiving, so maybe you might think of some Thanksgiving foods. And what does that, okay, so I will ask, I saw somebody raise their hand, but I only see their shoulder. Can you unmute and talk to us? Wearing a green shirt. Yep.
Alexander.
Alexander, yeah. So what food evokes something in you? Was that pastelitos? Mashed potatoes evoke something in you. And what sort of emotions do you feel when you think about mashed potatoes?
Happy.
All right.
Helen,
Okay.
something you wanted to share?
Sure.
Lillian.
Okay, Kellen.
When I eat salami, I get very hyper and happy and excited.
Salami makes you hyper and happy. So an energy sort of a feeling, but also a really happy type of a feeling. And then one more, I don't know what your name is, but I'm asking you to unmute.
I think meatballs has a strong memory for me because they're crispy and when I think about them, it makes me feel happy and hungry.
Even a little more hungry for the meatballs. Ooh, so nourishing. So we've done it. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to ask everybody to be back on mute. We've done a little bit of work around this word evoke. And it's important to know, friends, that evoking is a word that we can use as readers and as thinking about reading when we try to analyze and think deeply about a text that we're reading. So this is becoming a tool right now that you can use as you go forward and you do some reading. What sort of mood does it evoke inside of you? That's the work we're doing. You can always think back to this picture of somebody looking surprised like that. All right, so we talked a little bit before about this idea of mystery, and somebody had said mysterious is a word that they think of. So I want to draw your attention to how the word mystery, that's a noun, can become mysterious, which is an adjective. And we know that adjectives oftentimes go before the noun. So if I use my whiteboard here, we have mysterious, and then something that goes after it, a mysterious smell, a mysterious ghost, right? So these words that are a noun, the adjective goes before it to describe it. The hazy tangle made the garden look all so mysterious. And we're going to be talking about a garden in just a minute. Which brings us to the text itself, the secret garden. Okay, so here is where we're going to do 2 breakout rooms. And then we have other students that are going to stay right in this main room with me. Okay, so a little bit of logistics right now. And I know Miss Pham is going to help manage some of this moving around. Thank you so much. So we have in room 1, Atlas, Jadelis, Amani, Helen, and Alexander. So that's room 1. Room 2, Jacob, William, Serrano, Desmond, Jet, and Diego. You're going to be room 2. And here are your instructions, my Avengers. You're going to read pages 114 to 116 while muted silently. You're just going to be going through and doing some reading, and you'll come back to the main room when you're finished. So the breakout room is not to do some talking. It's simply going to be to do some reading. And I am going to stay in this room with Zoe, Christopher, Carlos, Juaneris, Daneuri, and Jade. And we're going to do some reading together. I'm going to show you just in a moment let's see here, what pages this is going to look like, okay? So here is The Secret Garden. That's the cover. That's the title. So this right here, see that? Page 114 with the girl skipping rope. Page 115. And then page 116 is right here. And when you get to paragraph 10, when it says opened slowly, that's where you're going to stop.
Ms. Stevens, can you share the screen that has the story on it right now?
Oh my gosh, right now. Thank you so much. Let me do a different share. Is that good?
Yes.
Good. All right. So this is the title page. Page 114 is right here. It has the girl jumping rope. Page 115 continues on. And then page 116 is going to be the last page. And it finishes with slowly. That's where you'll stop. And those are for the breakout rooms number 1 and number 2. Okay. Would you like me to do the rooms, Miss Pham?
Yes, please. Since you're the host.
You got it. Okay.
And breakout rooms 1 and 2, for those of you who are reading The Secret Garden, you're just going to access that by going to Google Classroom. In just a moment, it'll be on your Google Classroom. You can click on that and sign in to read the story.
Miss Pham, you have existing rooms. Is that do you want me to just recreate the rooms? Is that okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we should here have Zoe, Christopher, Carlos, Juaneris, Daneudi, and Jade. I'm waiting for the other students to go to their rooms. Okay. Got it. So I'm going to get started, and I'm going to do a shared reading with you guys of The Secret Garden. 10-year-old orphan Mary Lennox has recently moved from India to her uncle's mansion in England. Mary has made a few friends at the mansion, including the gardener, Ben Weatherstaff, and a friendly robin who often keeps Ben company. She's also discovered a mysterious walled-off garden that's been abandoned for 10 years. Mary would love to get inside the secret garden, but hasn't been able to find an entrance. The day before, however, she found an old key, half buried in the dirt. The skipping rope was a wonderful thing. She counted and skipped and counted until her cheeks were quite red, and she was more interested than she had ever been since she was born. The sun shining and a little wind was blowing, not a rough wind, but one which came in delightful little gusts and brought a fresh scent of newly turned earth with it. She skipped round the fountain garden and up one walk and down another. She skipped at last into the kitchen garden and saw Ben Weatherstaff digging and talking to his robin, which was hopping around him. She skipped down the walk toward him. He lifted his head and looked at her with a curious expression. She had wondered if she would notice her. She really wanted him to see her skip. Well, Mary skipped round all the gardens and round the orchard, resting every few minutes. At length, she went to her own special walk. She made up her mind to try to skip the whole length of it. It was a good long skip, and she began slowly, but before she had gone halfway down the path, she was so hot and breathless that she was obliged to stop. She did not mind much because she had already counted up to 30. She stopped with a little laugh of pleasure. There, lo and behold, was the robin swaying on a long branch of ivy. He had followed her and greeted her with a chirp. As Mary had skipped toward him, she felt something heavy in her pocket strike against her at each jump. When she saw the robin, she laughed again. "You showed me where the key was yesterday," she said. "You ought to show me the door today, but I don't believe you know." The robin flew from a swinging spray of ivy onto the top of the wall, and he opened his beak and sang a loud, lovely trill, merely to show off. Nothing in the world is quite as adorably lovely as a robin when he shows off, and they are nearly always doing it. Well, Mary Lennox had heard a great deal about magic in stories, and she always said that what happened almost at that moment was magic. One of the nice little gusts of wind rushed down the walk, and it was a stronger one than the rest. It was strong enough to wave the branches of the trees. It was more than strong enough to sway the trailing sprays of untrimmed ivy hanging from the wall. Mary had stepped close to the robin, and suddenly the gust of wind swung aside some loose ivy trails. More suddenly still, she jumped toward it and caught it in her hand. This she did because she had seen something under it, a round knob, which had been covered by the leaves hanging over it. It was the knob of a door. She put her hands under the leaves and began to pull and push them aside. Thick as the ivy hung, it nearly all was a loose and swinging curtain, though some had crept over wood and iron. Mary's heart began to thump, and her hands to shake a little in delight and in excitement. The robin kept singing and twittering away and tilting his head on one side, as if he were as excited as she was. What was this under her hand, which was square and made of iron, and which her fingers found a hole in? It was the lock of the door, which had been closed 10 years. She put her hand in her pocket, drew out the key, and found it and fitted into the keyhole. She put the key in and turned it, and it took 2 hands to do it, but it did turn. And then she took a long breath and looked behind her to see if anybody, to look up the long walk to see if anyone was coming. No one was. No one ever did come, it seemed. She took another long breath because she could not help it. She held back the swinging curtain of ivy and pushed back the door, which opened slowly, slowly. Okay, and now we see her. We see Mary pushing in the key, turning the lock. And there she is. She's inside. I'm going to invite our friends to come back. Let's see. Okay, friends, so we're all coming back from the breakout rooms. Can I have a thumbs up for the students that were in the breakout rooms? Did you get a chance to do that reading? And I saw one of you said you've read this book already and you've already seen the movie. So we have a lot, some of us have some prior knowledge about the story or the narrative of Mary in the Secret Garden. Okay. All right, so I'm going to share back again and we're going to do some marking up to look at the evoking of the mysterious mood. All right. Okay, friends. So again, the purpose of today's lesson is to look right into the language to see language that evokes a mysterious mood. So I'm going to go ahead and read, see if I can make this a little bit bigger for us. Nope. There we go. She was standing inside the secret garden. It was the sweetest. It was the sweetest, most mysterious looking place anyone could imagine. The high walls which shut it in were covered with the leafless stems of climbing roses, which were so thick that they were matted together. Mary Lennox knew the roses because she had seen a great many roses in India. All the ground was covered with grass of a wintry brown. Out of it grew clumps of bushes, which were surely rose bushes if they were alive. There were numbers of standard roses, which had so spread their branches that they were like little trees. There were other trees in the garden, and one of the things which made the place look strangest and loveliest was that the climbing roses had run all over them and swung down long tendrils, which made light swaying curtains. Here and there they had caught at each other or at a far-reaching branch and had crept from one tree to another and made lovely bridges of themselves. There were neither leaves nor roses on them now, and Mary did not know whether they were dead or alive. But their thin gray or brown branches and sprays looked like a sort of hazy mantle spreading over everything, walls and trees, and even brown grass where they had fallen from their fastenings and run along the ground. It was this hazy tangle from tree to tree which made it all look so mysterious. Mary had thought it must be different from other gardens, which had not been left all by themselves for so long. Indeed, it was different from any other place she had ever seen in her life. How still it is, she whispered. How still. So friends, we're going to do some work to try and find that language that evokes mystery. Just to get started, Would anybody like to share? What is Mary doing in this scene? What's happening? I think that is, yep.
She's trying to figure out what the place is.
So doing some figuring out about what the place is. Absolutely. And you know, she's kind of observing. When you're figuring something out, you're using your eyes and you're trying to observe and make connections with things that you already know. So taking my little annotation here, we see that she observes it's the sweetest, most mysterious looking place anyone could imagine. I'm going to call that our main idea, right? I think that that is sort of the main idea of this whole passage. And if we go a little bit further down into paragraph 14, we find another mysterious, don't we? Can somebody unmute and read for me the next time that she says mysterious? Anybody find it?
Amani?
On the second paragraph, all the way down under frightening, 2 down, it says, made it all look so mysterious.
Yes. So that links right back, right? Did you guys know that sometimes authors do that? They will put an idea up top and then a little bit further below, they'll circle back and they'll reintroduce that same topic, almost like a bookend in that way. Thank you so much, Amani. So it was this hazy tangle from the tree to tree, which made it all look so mysterious. So first of all, the author has brought the word mysterious 2 times to try and evoke that mood within us. But that's not all. The author's done a few more hints and tricks to use the language to build a mystery. Let's go take a look. Let's look for some colors, okay? Because colors can really evoke a mysterious mood as well. Can y'all find some color words, some adjectives that are peppered in there? See what you find? Ooh, they're gray and brown branches, right? So that gray and brown is also what we see over in the picture, because oftentimes the author works with the illustrator to bring some of that mood into the picture itself. Any other colors we can see?
You see like a greenish, bluish color on the wall. Like
okay, so yeah, so we see that in the picture too. The picture always gives us an access point to understanding mood. But what if you go back over to the language? Oops, sorry, gang. Any other colors? Well, you know, in addition to colors, there's another expression that Mary asks herself. It's sort of a question she poses to herself that builds mystery. Right here. There were neither leaves nor roses on the trees, and Mary did not know whether they were dead or alive. So sometimes, to build the mood of mystery, the author will ask some questions in the passage, and something like, is it dead or alive? Can continue to build that question of uncertainty or of some suspicion as well. Okay, oh, and somebody had said, here another one, we see the grass of a wintry brown right there. Oh my goodness. So we have wintry brown. Mary did not know if it was dead or alive. And we also have that thin gray-brown branches that the author does a really clear job as we go through of building some of that that mood that evokes the mystery in us as the reader. What do you guys now think about that final How still it is, she whispered. How still. Can anybody put together a response about something being still related to a mystery? What do you think?
Jade, what do you think?
Maybe we'll, yeah?
I think Jade had her hand up.
Oh, sure.
I know. I was just doing the thing that she was doing. I didn't have
Doing
questions.
some thinking. When you guys are uncertain about something, how does your body respond? Kind of stand really still, right? And everything else around her looked so quiet. So this idea of her being still, but also the garden, she doesn't know if it's dead or alive. And dead things can be quite still. Yeah. Okay, so I think here, go back. Here we go. So friends, we have just done some reading of The Secret Garden, and we were looking at how language evokes a feeling or a memory inside of us by looking at some of the adjectives, by that question the author asked, I didn't know if it was dead or alive, and also a feeling of stillness and wonder. Tomorrow, we're going to do a little bit more with this text and do some independent reading, still around the notion of evoking mystery, okay? Because I think right now we're at 10:35. That's about the end of the reading period. Am I right? Correct, because I want to get you guys back to the rest of your day. So I thank you so much for doing such a great job today. And again, I'm going to see you tomorrow at 10, and we'll do the second half of our lesson together.
Thank you for coming and teaching us.
Oh my gosh. The pleasure was all mine, friends.
The story
be
was
safe.
mysterious.
Okay.
Miss Stevens, do you want them to continue reading on their own, or do we want to wait until tomorrow to finish?
We'll just do tomorrow. There's a little bit more tomorrow for us to do. Thank you so much. Okay. Take good care.